karma, habit, and the 1,000 flesh-eating demons. Part 1. Crisis in the Forest. Seeking a skillful intervention. Today, we are going to unpack a classic story from the Sutra of 100 Comic Stories Karma Satoka. At first glance, this might look like just another supernatural myth from antiquity. But truth be told, it pierces right into the deep psychological mechanisms behind habit formation that we modern humans struggle with every single day. Whether you are currently trapped by a toxic habit you can't seem to shake, or you're fighting truth and nail to build a positive one, this millennium-old wisdom is about to give you a completely fresh perspective. Let's dive straight into the action at a high-stakes crime scene. Imagine a vital trade route cutting through a dense forest between the ancient Indian kingdoms of Magadha and Kosala. There's just one massive problem. This highway is infested with 1,000 flesh-eating demons who devour passing travelers. Back then, this wasn't a bedtime ghost story, it was a bona fide, life-threatening public crisis. The entire region was gripped by terror. King Bimbisara, the ruler at the time, knew things had gotten completely out of hand. However, he didn't impulsively deploy his military for a bloody, head-on collision. Instead, he made a pivotal decision. He sought the counsel of Gautama Buddha. Facing this lethal threat, the king implored the Buddha to handle these creatures not through brute destruction, but through skillful means. Part 2. The Buddha's skillful subdual, compassion cloaked in wrath. So, how do you think the Buddha dealt with this gang of out-of-control, ethereal thugs? You might picture him sitting down serenely, projecting peaceful vibes, and trying to reason with them. Actually, it was quite the opposite. When the horde of flesh-eating demons bared their fangs and lunged forward, the Buddha instantly unleashed a formidable countermeasure. He summoned a terrifyingly fierce yaksha, a wrathful deity specifically manifested to deal with malicious spirits. Terrified, the demons turned to flee. But the Buddha instantly manifested a massive, blazing net of fire encircling the perimeter. Trapped between a raging inferno and a terrifying wrathful deity, the demons were completely boxed in. This was a brilliant psychological tactic, using an overwhelming force to utterly shatter their arrogance, thereby setting a perfect stage for the compassionate teachings that would follow. What happened next was pure drama. After hearing the Buddha explain the laws of cause and effect karma, these savage monsters underwent a miraculous 180-degree transformation. Just the day before, they were bloodthirsty predators viewing travelers as a buffet. The next day, they became the forest's most hospitable 5-star tour guides. If travelers were thirsty, they provided water. If hungry, they gave food. If lost, they guided them back to safety. This instantaneous pivot from ultimate evil to ultimate benevolence left the citizens of both kingdoms completely flabbergasted. Part 3. Unveiling past life connections. The plot twist. While his disciples were marveling at how incredible the Buddha's power was, the Buddha dropped a massive plot twist, revealing a hidden storyline spanning multiple lifetimes. As it turned out, this was not the first time the Buddha had subdued this exact group of beings. In a vastly distant past life, when the Buddha was a practicing ascetic, he had encountered these exact same 1,000 demons in the very same forest. Even back then, the ascetic had taught them to lay down their weapons and guided them to practice the 10 virtuous deeds. In other words, these monsters had already learned how to be good guys lifetimes ago. This brings us face to face with a massive philosophical paradox. If they had already reformed and accumulated merit in a past life, shouldn't they have been reborn into a life of luxury and comfort? How did they relapse so drastically, turning back into terrifying, flesh-eating demons? Part 4. The tug-of-war of habit. The psychology of karmic imprints. The answer to this question hits a profound pain point that modern humans experience every day. The core of this phenomenon comes down to karmic imprints, 习气, or what we call habits. Though these beings had attempted to do good in their past life, their newly established positive behaviors were far from stable. At the same time, the toxic, deeply ingrained habit of committing evil deeds remained fiercely dominant deep within their subconscious. Picture this as a violently uneven tug-of-war. On one side, you have an immense mountain of unresolved, heavy negative habits accumulated over countless lifetimes. On the other side, you have a newly awakened, incredibly fragile desire to be good. The outcome is a foregone conclusion. The massive weight of their old, toxic habits easily crush their fragile new virtues, dragging them right back into a vicious cycle. Doesn't this sound exactly like our New Year's resolutions? We swear we are going to get fit, but we don't last a week before our old habits start craving to lounge around and eat late-night snacks completely annihilates our resolve. Therefore, this ancient story is actually deeply comforting. It reminds us that struggling, faltering, and relapsing on the path of self-improvement is entirely normal. Think about it. Even the beings who received direct, personal guidance from the Buddha's past incarnation suffered a massive relapse. Eradicating deep-seated bad habit seeds, by nature, are grueling, long-term war of attrition. You must never look at one or two failures and conclude that you are beyond saving. Part 5. Waiting for the mirror to ripen. The inevitability of positive change. This brings us to our final and most uplifting takeaway. Did the efforts made by these demons in their past lives simply go down the drain? Not at all. The underlying analysis emphasizes that the seeds of virtue they planted long ago, the merits of discipline, patience, and diligence never vanished. They were quietly accumulating energy in the background. It wasn't until this current lifetime, when they encountered the Buddha once again, that the fruits of that past virtue finally ripened. That is why, this time around, the moment the Buddha intervened, they achieved a permanent, 100% transformation without ever relapsing again. Every single past failure was actually laying the foundational brick for their ultimate success. To wrap up, I want to leave you with a powerful metaphor from this analysis. It compares our stubborn bad habits to thieves who sneak in to steal our energy. As long as you maintain awareness, continuously correct your course, and practice self-reflection, every single ounce of effort you put in acts as a slow drain on these thieves' stamina. Eventually, your bad habits will be completely exhausted, and your positive habits will naturally blossom and bear fruit. So, take a moment to ask yourself, what is the thief you are currently battling? And how much time and patience are you willing to grant yourself while you wait for your own positive merits to ripen? Keep pushing forward. Every bit of effort you accumulate will, in the end, never be in vain.